get the presentation going. Let's talk about horror writing, world building, and rule building,
Ooh.
which is important for horror writing. Okay, here we go. I just gave you the lowdown. You know about this. After the sprints, hopefully, brave souls of you will share some sentences, some first sentences of your new story, or some sentences that you're proud of. And at the end, we will also talk about how to think about revising this new story. Okay, so this presentation exercise was inspired. I need to give credit where credit is due here. I discovered a writer named Kayla Kumari who is running a horror writing workshop through the Forever Workshop this month. This is a version. I did that course yesterday. I put out a vlog about that if you're curious about my experience with week one. The exercise that I'm about to present and that Sarah is going to talk about is inspired by this. It's different. What we're about to share is different. So if you enjoyed today, definitely go check this out. And it's a 4-week course. The link rather to that article is in the notes. Objective for today, leave this workshop enthused, excited, kind of how you're feeling, Devin, except in the miniature per a piece of flash fiction. That's the goal. And here's what we're really here for. World building and horror. What is it? We're going to talk about rules, what that looks like, what's haunted, what's normal, point of view, architecture, thematic, emotional of a world. What does fear look like in this world? And I just kind of we're going to talk about all that, but I want to enter that conversation, Sarah, with what does world building in horror mean to you? What do you think of? What does this evoke for you?
Absolutely. I feel like I'm maybe going to be on the lighter side of things. So my first love was science fiction, and science fiction and fantasy are famously, um, I don't know, very world building heavy. It's a very world building heavy genre. You have literal worlds to build if you're in sci-fi writing about a new planet with new species and all of that stuff. And then the fantasy side of things, you have usually some kind of magic system, some kind of race that's in declination, or some kind of people who have been forgotten and are returning. You have a lot of that stuff. But for world building for horror, um, first, I haven't written as much horror. I've written, full series for sci-fi, I've written for TV for sci-fi, I've written novels in sci-fi. Horror, I've just written some poetry and some short pieces. And then my next audio drama project is going to be a gentle horror. So really what I've kind of been, without something structured like you've gone through, I've kind of just been like feeling my way through it. And a few things that I've noticed are, number one, for me, it's a lot more vibe heavy. And I don't know if this is a good time to bring this up, but Asa, I know you and I before have talked about the concept of weird versus eerie. And yeah, and you initially talked, and I don't know if you want to talk about that now, um, talking about vibes, or I can just like run through it real quick too, but is that okay? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Go for it. Go for it. Yeah. I mean, we've got that list to go through, but I think a brief seg into the
Yeah.
difference between the weird and the uncanny, it would be definitely valuable to this
Yeah.
audience. Another, that
Yeah.
is par for the course opinion. I know we've got a lot of horror writers tuning in and we really want to honor your expertise here. And Sarah and
Yes.
I are very much engaging with today's workshop as fellow writers in process. And this is a really cool distinction, uncanny versus weird when it comes to horror fiction. Yeah, Sarah, do you want to take a
Yeah.
crack at that?
Yeah. Historically, I'm just going to make it super simple. It's a lot more obviously, complex than this, but in my mind, the way I keep it is the uncanny slash the weird is about the addition of a presence, a largesse, something that shouldn't be there, but is there and is causes some discomfort, causes some just weird feelings. Eerie is sort of the opposite of that. It is the absence of something. So, an eerie amusement park would have no people in it. It's completely silent. Like maybe the rides are going and but there's nobody on them. Um, So yeah, so you have the weird, the Lovecraftian where there are like massive like eyeballs in the sky. That's weird slash uncanny. Eerie is why is there nobody else in this liminal space? Help me. So at least from my understanding. Um, and the reason I was bringing that up was just that's kind of more what I lean toward when I think of world building and horror. And so I'm really interested, Asa, to hear from you, who you do have, I think, more experience writing horror than I do, what that looks like for you. And we have some great comments coming in too.
Yeah, let's just engage. B Burns. Ooh, I don't know how to pronounce that. B. I'm gonna Bresh.
Freak.
Hey, Breach. It can't be right. We're glad you're here, Burns. From Ireland, I'm hoping to start telling true life ghost stories about the area of Belfast I live in. I am looking for inspiration, insight into the skills involved in writing my stories. You've come to the right place. We have been trying to answer these questions as well. We talked a lot about M.R. James. I'm wondering
Mhm.
if you know about M.R.B. And their theories of ghost stories. That is, we can maybe dive into that a little bit. Augie, hi, I'm Augie. In 2017, I started sharing my work publicly and making podcasts with my short horror stories in an audio drama style. Love. I got published a few places, made another podcast, this time a serialized audio drama, and then took a long break. I'm about to get back on the podcasting horse and publish more spooky stuff. Augie, congratulations. That is great. B does know about MR. Ooh,
Yes.
ooh, ooh, what a squad. What
Fantastic.
a squad we got here.
I love it.
Yeah, this is amazing. So going back to this little list here. So world building, adjacent to idea of world building is rules. And we all know this from movies. You know, what are the rules of the monster? You know, an easy way to think about it is vampires often have very clear rules. You know, if you
Right.
get knifed through the heart with the stake, you can't go into the sunlight. But as we also know, in the vast array of vampire media, the rules vary. Sometimes the rules are stronger than others. Uh, Vampire the role playing game, Vampire the Masquerade, which I played for a hot second. You know, there's a whole sub breed
I
of
love that.
vampires. Oh my god, it was so fun. That can be in the sunlight part of the time. You know, so these are the rules, and I think like what we strive for as horror writers is establishing rules that are interesting and inspiring, but are also consistent. And
Yes.
you know, one valuable tip is to kind of perhaps write down those rules, have a separate document where you're keeping track of those. And you don't necessarily have to spell all those out, but just knowing them for yourselves. So that's kind of like one piece of the world building. Another
Right.
piece, which you really talked about kind of already, Sarah, in this distinction between the weird and the uncanny, and B, you may well know about as well if you've engaged with the work of M.R. James, is part of world building and horror is kind of trying to pin down what counts as haunted
Ooh.
or what counts as other, right? Like, is this a world in which ghosts are supernatural? And we've talked about this with kind of a lot of Latin American fiction, or on the other side, whereas like ghosts are just part of the texture of this life, right? And so getting specific around what counts as real and what counts as horror, another valuable trick. POV,
Point of view.
as it's called. Do we need a haunted element for horror? Devin
That's
asks.
such a good question. And no, you don't.
I
Your
don't think
horror.
so.
So I think that it's important too to say that like we when we talk about rules in a conversation like this, what we're talking about is not necessarily, oh, this makes for acceptable horror, this makes for good horror, this makes it okay. What we're talking about is really understanding um it's really laying the groundwork to have stakes that matter in your story. So um if you have I love that vampire example because there are so many different sets of rules in different media for vampires. If you have a vampire that will burn to death if sunlight touches them, like in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, it's a very hard and fast rule that sets up a lot of the framework of the stories. It helps with different plot lines, and it lets us know when a character is safe and when a character is in danger, and all of that goes to create tension, it goes to create the story, and it goes to create so much drama that happens. And so I think that instead of understanding maybe, and I like Asa that you said not only what is haunted, but what is scary, what is eerie, what is uncanny, what's different about this world. And I saw someone earlier in the comments brought up video games, and those can be a really video games can be really good at this because they're so vibe centric. Like walking into Silent Hill, you know you're in Silent Hill. Okay, why do you know? It's eerie because there's no other people around, or the people that are there are acting strangely. Um, so, so so, sorry, long answer, very long. You do not need a haunted element for horror. Horror can be anything that unsettles you, it can be anything that leaves you feeling weird. And I think, and Asa, you may or may not agree with me on this, um, the thing really for me that makes horror horror is how the story leaves me feeling.
Mm, mm,
But
yes. I
I'd love
like
to
that
hear your
definition.
take on
You
that
know,
as
that's a
well.
definition of Tananarive Due, short story, TV writer, Afrofuturist, iconic horror educator. You know, that's how she defines horror. Is it's not about whether there's something haunted or not. It's the feeling,
Mm,
right? The emotion engendered by the piece. So I love
mhm.
that. You know, you're in good company with that
Yeah.
definition.
And real quick, there's different types of that feeling even. There's existential horror, which, leaves you feeling like, you're alone in the universe and no one is there to comfort or help you. There's like things that are actually visually or physically disgusting. Right. There's atmosphere, exactly, B burns. And so yeah, there's so many different types of horror. We're not just talking about ghosts and vampires. It's really anything that leaves you with that certain feeling.
Yeah, I
Okay.
love that. Yeah, in
Thanks for
fact,
letting me have all these interjections.
gosh,
I'm
this is yeah, this is great. This is
we're
so
cooking.
generative, Sarah. I'm really grateful for this chat. You know, in fact, there doesn't have to be vampires or ghosts. Lovecraft, incidentally, quite like a little seg for him, he explicitly says there must not be those things. Is that and as soon as you introduce those kind of elements to your world, right? And Lovecraft, of course, is a great example of world building and horror. As soon as you introduce like known supernatural elements, then it becomes for him it cuts it. It cuts the atmosphere, it cuts the fear, and you lose that experience.
Right. Well, and to that point, exactly, it's super subjective. So what's right for H.P. Lovecraft, what's right for M.R. James, what's right for Tananarive Due, might or might not be right for you. Horror
Yeah,
is a spectrum of flavors.
yeah, I love that, and it's so fun. I mean, where I'm at least is discovering what it is for me. All right, let's see if there's anything else that we can look for. I said, what is the architecture? You know, so what I had in mind there is kind of like, what is the world building? This, I think, really applies specifically to fiction. The architecture of your world per horror is more kind of like the types of sentences you're writing, the body of imagery that you're really engaging with. Again, I'm glad Lovecraft came up because he has such a specific architecture to his stories. What does fear look like in this world? I think we've gotten into that a lot. Devin, when we say Lovecraft and world building, we cannot omit the Necronomicon that has
Hmm.
about zero content given by Lovecraft because nothing he could have written could match the imagination of the reader. And that is so right. I love
Yeah.
this. Fun fact about the Necronomicon. So this is like a really cool, I'm going to go back to the
Yeah, yeah. Show us this
to the
because
bigger
this
screen.
book is
This
cool.
is, all you horror lovers out there and horror writers and horror readers, you might appreciate this book. It is called The Weird and the Eerie by Mark Fisher. It's theoretical, it's critical, it's like lit theory. This is partly where Sarah and I really got going around this conversation of the weird versus the eerie. There's a great sort of essay about that. And per your comment, Devin, so apparently, the Necronomicon, there was all these histories around people going to their libraries, their
Oh,
local libraries, trying to find it, because they had heard this book referenced so often, this supposed secret tome of secrets, and people went looking for it. Lord
that's
Huntress,
great.
hello, welcome. Hi, all. Sarah in a chair. Let's get spooky, everybody. Okay, I think that is a great cue for us to get in to the actual exercise. And so again, the exercise that we're about to share is intended to get you going on a horror story, a flash story, a short story, something that really jumps right in. This is kind of a prescriptive exercise. And so it really kind of holds your hand. And I would encourage you at any point, if you want to let go and run and leave the exercise behind, do so. Here we go. All right. Part one. And so this is where, if you don't have a pen and paper out, grab one, because here we go. And this is an adaptation, as I said, of an exercise by this instructor named, let me get her name right. I don't have it in front of me. Link in the description. This is different, but it was inspired by that. Okay, part one on your piece of paper. Here we go.
Okay, I'm ready.
I've sort of done this, but everybody, here we go. Think of a place you lived that you loved. So this can be a specific neighborhood in a city that you've lived in, or a specific city. And if you have lived in the same place your whole life, you can pick a street or a part of town. So 30 seconds. Everybody come up with a place you lived that you loved. Okay, let's hear it, folks. Sarah, what's yours?
Mine was, growing up, we were super poor, and the first place I lived in was just, we rented a room in this guy's house, and my family just lived there. And so,
Wow.
but I have very like fond memories of that, and of this like old man that we lived with, who is just really generous and really sweet. And yeah.
Gosh, I love that. Okay, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. What
Uh,
about you or other
gosh,
people
okay,
in the
well, yeah,
comments?
yes, I want to hear from everybody else. Takashi, what'd you put as a place you love living? Ooh, Cologne. I love
Ooh.
living in Cologne. I'm really
Mm.
grateful for this international moment that we're having together, with the world united through horror. Lived there for a few years, far away from family, really has given me a sense of independence.
Mm.
This is exciting. I am
Mhm.
excited, Devin, to hear what you generate from this exercise, having spent time living in Cologne. Does anyone else want to share? I chose, for the sake of this exercise, which I'll share briefly, New York City, where I lived for a long time, but I'm going to do the exercise afresh right now.
Oh, gotcha.
And I think I'm going to choose where my dad lived. I spent part of my childhood on a ranch, which was there was a lot of challenges there, but it's part of me, kind of like what you're describing. And so
Yeah.
I'm gonna use that northeast rural Washington as my spot. Augie says my childhood home that had a really creepy attic. Ooh, okay, creepy attic.
I
Love
love a
that.
creepy attic. Yes.
All right, if you haven't gotten your place, get your place. Here we go. Moving forward, write down, and I'm gonna put this up. Don't worry,
Okay.
but I'm gonna say it out loud first before you see all my answers. Write down 6 to 8 different types of people who live in that place. All right. So now I'm going to put mine up. I did New York City. That was my example. These are I was like off the dome. So I lived in New York for like my 20s, basically. And I just off the dome threw out different types of people who I recalled from my time living in New York: teen punks downtown, Columbia kids, Columbia University, finance bros, Chelsea boys, the NYU kids who thought NYC was Sex in the City. There was a whole cohort when I arrived of young folks, mostly young women, who went to NYU because they thought life in New York would be like Carrie Bradshaw's, and it wasn't. And they all left.
They
Bachelorettes
all
wearing
left.
I Love New York NYC shirts en masse during Times Square, and Park Slope families. If you know New York, you know Park Slope is a sort of gentrified, largely white, progressive, quote unquote. Everyone's having like organic granola. It's a vibe. Takashi has a place in mind. I didn't live there, but there's a specific place I love in Mexico City. It's near the Library of Pendulo at Colonial Condesa. I adore the French-style neighborhood. I live 15 minutes from where Takashi is describing, and it is
Oh,
indeed stunning. Mateo, bienvenido, welcome. Hello, Mateo. Welcome,
hi.
welcome, welcome. This is such a gang. Okay, so,
Oh, and Laura mentions lived in
oh,
various
Laura. Hey,
places.
Laura.
Yeah.
I've
I
lived in
oh,
various places around the US and also Australia, but I miss the strange kinetic magic of Detroit. Laura, we got to talk. I've been spending more and more time in Detroit recently. I want to hear more about that at some other point. So, 60 to 90 seconds, folks. Heads
okay.
down, pencils moving, 6 to 8 different types of people that live in the place that you wrote down. Oh my gosh, Takashi, I was just texting you. It's about to come in. Not texting you, sending you a message. Takashi, intrigued by what your list will be, and here is your list. Preppy people, hipsters, old money folks, foreigners like Asa LOL. Gracias, Takashi, okay? Thank you so much for, that moment. Young couples with dogs, it's true. And a plethora of artists, all true, all true, all true. Love, this is vivid. Okay, moving on. I am so excited about everyone's list. Here we go. Next part of the exercise. So if you're just joining us briefly, we are writing horror stories today with a prompt. If you missed the part one, choose a place that you live that you love. Part two, 6 to 8 different types of people who live in that place. Part three, here we go. Okay, you are now the sinister president of the secret society of blank. Fill in the blank with one of the groups of people you brainstormed. So from my list, one of my groups of people who lived in the New York City that I loved were bachelorettes wearing I love New York City shirts. So my story in this example would be the secret society of bachelorettes wearing I love NYC shirts.
All right.
Devin, I really appreciate you sharing. If anyone else wants to share, send it along. Oh my gosh, Laura, I can't wait to share this one. Devin says, I'm the sinister president of the secret society of good combo partners. Love it. Laura Huntress's list, Buddhists, clowns and carnival types, nature and old building lovers, intellectuals, philosophers, esoteric knowledge hunters, storytellers, people of various struggles. What a marvelous experience of the world, Laura. This is very cool. Very cool, everybody. So, reviewing, you have your list, you choose one. The secret society. So, if I were to use Laura's list here as an example, the secret society of esoteric knowledge hunters would be one such answer to this prompt.
I want to join. Gosh.
Augie says, the president of the secret society of candy shop owners. Love.
That's
Is
great.
that emoji part of the plat? on the
Yes.
on the secret society.
Or
Part
commentary.
four. Part four. Sarah, are you ready for part four?
I'm ready for part
Okay,
4.
good. Okay. Part four. All right. This is the real juice of this workshop, everyone. This is kind of potentially the most useful part of the exercise. So I'm excited to share this. So you're now going to write the rules for your imaginary society. And what I want you to do is like imagine this is a list of rules on a contract. Remember, you're the president of this secret society, and you've got this contract with the list of rules, and there's a new member coming in, and you put this contract in front of them with the list of rules. And what I recommend for this exercise is to generate a list of 10 such rules. And the rules can be rules that you might find in a non speculative universe. So, for example, in my example here, the secret society of bachelorettes who wear I Love New York t shirts, a rule could be you got to put your name on your shirt so you don't get confused. That's a regular real world rule. Or you can have fantastical rules. In the secret society of bachelorettes who love NYC, no one may dream of home, right? So those are the two kinds. Does that make sense, Sarah? Is that like the two different kinds? Is that
Yeah.
clear? Okay, cool.
Yes.
So yes, so we're making a rule. This is how we're building a world, right? We're building a world with concrete rules. We're reverse engineering the situation here,
Yeah, I've
where
never done an exercise like
it's a
this. This
very
is
great
very,
exercise. It's a very
yeah.
great exercise. Uh, so what we're going to do here is we're going to come up with the rules and then from the rules write. That's the full vision here of the workshop. So let's take 4 minutes to come up with at least 7 rules for your new secret society.
Fantastic.
You got your list, Sarah?
I have my list and I'm reading the ones that are coming
Oh,
in. These
they're
are
extraordinary.
fantastic.
They're extraordinary. So I'm just going to go quickly through some of these and share them. Takashi, the Secret Society of the Baroque, rules must have a French style dog, must change name to an artist of the Baroque period. All artists must live together. All Caravaggios are together. In the meanwhile, over at the Society of Good Combo Partners from Devon, here are some of the rules. Every victim must have as good of a time as possible before you kill them off. A murderer does not have to be rude to their victims. Be kind. Yeah, this is an elaborate rule. I love this. Once
This
you've
is
revealed
great.
the existence of the society, the person must either join or be killed. To join, you must be proven well versed in the art of conversing. Incredible. Wow. Okay. This is so generative. Takashi, more rules coming in. Must present a piece of art every 3 months. Must have a passing mark from the older members. Okay, we're going to get to this older members.
Ooh.
Mateo, I don't know if it was 4 minutes. We're just jamming.
It's all vibes. All
It's all
vibes.
vibes. Augie, rules for the secret society of candy shop owners. Must be over 65. Sweet old people only. Must have a degree or at least 1 year dance experience. 1 year of dance experience, I think. Must be able to levitate at least 2 inches. Must be certified in the art of candy magic. This is a society I want to hang out in.
This is amazing.
Great. Okay, we've got these rules. Here we go. We're getting close. We're getting close. Part 5. This is the writing itself. Let me just convey myself here. Okay. Part 5. Now we're going to get into it. Write a short story set in the horror setting you created. If you want a first sentence, I'll give you this in a second. The horror setting you created. So the goal here, and again, this is like just an exercise to get thinking about world building in horror. Listen to your hand and your mind and your pen and your heart. If you're writing and a story unfolds, I at least would encourage you to take it. But for the sake of learning about world building and horror, think about the world you created, the rules of this world. That's the goal. If you want a first sentence to launch you into your story, I wrote this out. Just because you are now a member of the secret society of the Baroque does not mean you're safe. Takashi, I threw yours in there. And then what you're going to do using that as a first sentence is you're going to write from the point of view of someone who's been in the society for a while. So the person who says that, just because you are now a member of the secret society of bachelorettes or the Baroque or good combo partners does not mean you are safe. And a potential setup here is that it's someone who's been in the society a while talking to a new member. Yes. So this is me saying that again, basically. The person listening to the story is the new recruit. Questions? Anyone? Thoughts, comments, vibes, cats? I've come up with 6 rules. That's a good place to start, Mateo. That probably is enough to get you going.
So if we come up with that first sentence and we like feel like drawn in another direction, can we like go in that direction? Like,
Oh yeah, I think that's the whole thing. I think that
good.
like the idea is that the rules are there. You've kind of primed your imagination. This is when I did the exercise yesterday. This is what I found is that in brainstorming the rules, my imagination had already like entered certain places and they worked their way in. So that's like one way to think about it, but there's definitely no rules here. Devin,
Good. Yep.
I can just write whatever the heck I want. That's what we're here for.
Correct. Yep.
These are more guidelines than rules, just like there's no better way to put it. YouTube
Just like
character
pirate
limit.
mode.
So I'll share on Discord. Okay, great. Thank you, Mateo. That's we can bring this up. There's a Discord. This community has a Discord. I know I haven't seen your name on the mix before. Welcome, Augie, everybody. There's a Discord here of writers such as yourself engaging in workshops such as these. Sarah and I run 2 story clubs on this channel where we read short stories and talk about them from the point of view of writers. I'll put Discord link in the chat now or briefly. what we're going to do now is, I think, how long do we, what do you think, Sarah? We want 25 minutes here for a kickoff, or I don't know.
Yeah,
What's the
20 or
instinct?
25. That feels good.
Yeah. Okay. Let me just get this. Sarah, thank you for putting it in. Okay, cool. Yeah, let's actually, I'm gonna say I want to think about, let's do 20. We'll do 20.
Okay.
I think
Okay.
20 is
I
right.
like
I think
it.
20 is the move. 20 is the move. It's gonna go fast, everybody.
It always
So
goes
it
fast.
always goes fast. And yeah, so you, as just, that could be a possible first sentence for you. The sentence I just shared a second ago. Just because you are now a member of said secret society does not mean you're safe. But hopefully, you just have a fertile world to emerge in. So I'm gonna get the clock going. Sarah and I will go on mute, and we will see you all in 20 minutes. And if you want to continue engaging, getting sort of in dialogue with the other writers in the comments, please do. There's
Yeah.
no
And
stress.
there's
No
already
agenda
got some
here.
folks in the Discord as well who are like
Oh,
sharing
oh,
rules and stuff. So
oh gosh.
there's a lot going on. It's
There's a lot
great.
going on. There's a lot going on. Okay, we're gonna start writing. Mateo, briefly, the secret society of Elvis impersonators. Love. All right, here we go, everybody. Momentarily, I'm going to put up the timer.
This is so fancy and official. I love it.
This is the big time, Sarah. We're not messing
Oh
around
man, I
here.
love it.
Okay, everybody, good luck.
All right. That's so soothing.
So soothing. Do y'all on the stream hear that? Do you all hear the dun 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 that happens when the timer ends, or is that just Sarah and I? Unclear. Is anyone still here?
No.
Hi everybody. Wow. Okay, Devin heard it. Great, great. Wow. All these comments come in. Okay. Wow. Amazing. Um, Devin, 25. What I've written is very intense and most certainly 18 plus. Is it still fine to share on Discord? Yeah, on the Discord. I'll check that out briefly, Devin. Takashi, is this your first sentence? I think it is. Or a sentence? Looking at the crow feathers of the grinning arrows, holding a pair of arrows with his right hand gripping in blood. Elvia Caravaggio could fail this trimester's evaluation. That's intriguing. Augie, catch you later if you're still here. Wow. Okay. Okay. Everyone heard the chime. Thank you. Mateo, 293 words. Very nice. Very nice. Sarah, how was that writing session for you?
It was good. It was, I think what I really appreciated was it was so different from my usual writing process. Like, usually I'll have a project that I'm excited about, I'll sit down, I'll work on it, and like that's what drives me. Excuse me. And I think this time it was like, it was almost discombobulating to have like a set of parameters to work with, but it was so helpful in that it gave me a new place to write from, if that makes any sense. And so, yeah, my word count wasn't great, but I think I actually have an idea for a story that I'm like kind of having fun writing. Um, my society is for retired janitors who fight crime.
Love.
And yeah, it was it I kind of love these characters and the rules just like flowed and made sense. So I don't know. I'm feeling pretty excited about this. How about you and those of you who are here, if you want to share in the comments?
B. Burns. The SS of OAP, the Secret Society of Old Age Pensioners, I believe it was. The Secret Society of Old Age Pensioners were invisible in their community. Looking sickly, downtrodden, and bent over, they were able to infiltrate all levels of society unchallenged and unnoticed.
That's great.
Hot. I love it. I love it. What a concept. Ooh, old people taking over in secret. I love it. Uh, Devin says, reminds me of Netflix's
Carmen San Diego
Carmen's.
janitors.
Is this a reference you know, Sarah?
It is. So yes, it is. And actually I didn't even think of that, but yes. Yes. That's
Okay.
fantastic.
Oh, okay. I'm looking in the Discord. These are, I'm so grateful that everyone is sharing all this intimate fiction, not just intimate in terms of the content, but to share your fiction in this way. So
Mhm.
grateful for y'all. I am not going to read these long passages, but if you join the Discord, you will have an opportunity to read them. For me, Sarah, so I did this exercise yesterday.
I was about to say, now you've done like, was it weird doing it a second time? Did you have
Well,
a
so it
different
was totally
yeah.
different. It was totally different. Like the one, I totally changed it. So it was like a different kind of worlds and all this different stuff. But what I found was what you were just talking right now brought to mind something that I experienced yesterday when doing this exercise, which was the value of having a sandbox, is how I
Mm.
described it when I was reflecting on it, is that a sandbox to play in. It's just like you go to the park and there's all the things to choose from, the swings, the slides, the this, the that. And you've got the sandbox, which is this 2 meter by 2 meter square. And if you have to build something in the sandbox, all of a sudden a lot of decisions have been made for you. And so this exercise for me yesterday very much felt like a sandbox in the best possible way. So yes, that was my experience. So what I actually did there was continue working on this story I started yesterday. I'll read the first couple of sentences.
Yeah.
The place most folks went to buy curses was a roadside shack, which to the uninformed sold cherries. I knew that's where you got them because my dad tried to burn it to the ground after some cop cursed my uncle for standing up to him in court. The curses for sale only moderately disrupt one's life. My uncle, for example, hiccups at the top of every hour. So it's a little silly, but I think it's going to get scary. I think it's going to get scary.
No,
That
I love that though. And also, I hate having hiccups. And I
yeah,
just
I
made
was
a
thinking
face when
about
you read that. I was like, oh my gosh, I would actually go insane. So,
yeah. I mean, it's like wait, I'm just trying to let go and not judge my own writing as I'm writing it. Anyway,
mm,
yes. The point is, I found this exercise really fruitful for myself yesterday as well. Gosh, anyone else want to share? The Discord's blowing up, and
yeah.
I can't keep up. I can't keep up. I'm going to read some first sentences. Okay, okay. Yes. So this is from Devin. I'm only going to read what's reasonable for a horror writing workshop. Why which is everything, but yes, per the content warning. Why her voice weak and trembling? Why do you do this? Her voice turns into a distorted scream as I cut off yet another part of her fingers.
Ew.
Mateo. What's up, lovely people? You know my name. I'm the king of pop, Elvis Presley. That is my name and will always be my name. I have no other, not Tom, not Brian, not Nico. I recently joined a group of doppelgangers. They are my brothers, even if there are some sisters in the mix. Mateo's start.
That's delightful.
Lore Huntress. I'd been hiding out in a forgotten priest's hiding hole for about a week. Time passed so strangely in the dark, with only a set of the previous occupants' bones to keep me company.
Ooh.
I mean, not horror. I'm into that. Cool, y'all. Gosh, these are some great first sentences. Uh, Sarah, what do you think? I should we continue? Should we leave it here and pick up,
Hmm.
or where are you at?
Well, it kind of depends. So we had talked a little bit about this being like a four-part, like October
Mm,
spooky season kind of thing. So it's I can kind of go either way if you'd like to keep going now, or if folks would like to get on with their day, then we can also look at picking up these stories next week too. Or,
yeah, yeah.
whatever.
Let's do that. Let's do that. What before we all disperse into our lovely Fridays? Are there other kind of specific parts of horror writing that folks would be curious about
Hmm.
sort of being in conversation with? Sarah and I can try to kind of tailor the next 3 weeks. As Sarah just said, we're kind of doing a little spooky season October push here, engaging with horror short fiction every Friday. Does anyone have things that they are thinking about or would love to talk about with other
Yeah.
writers when it
Or would
comes
be
to horror
helpful
writing?
to learn about. Yeah. And I especially, Ace, I like that question of things to talk about with other writers. Like, I think that's really good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Um, gosh. So, any other thing that we need to share? Sarah and I both have YouTube channels. If you're new, do subscribe. Mateo is on AuthorTube, I know as well. He has a channel. And again, just if it's your first time here, welcome. Sarah and I are professional writers who are learning more about writing at all times, as any good
Always.
writer should, with you on this channel. There are story clubs. Sarah and I are co-hosting these, and there's a Discord that we co-host, and you can find all the streams on both of our channels at all times. So we're here for you, and we appreciate you. And thank
Yeah.
you so
So
much for being
much.
here today and enriching this workshop. It was so fun. Devin, you can definitely share your book cover on Discord.
Yeah. Oh, and I'm glad you made it into one of our workshops too. Again, we do these every Friday, regardless of spooky season or not. It's always some kind of flavor of writing together, talking about the craft, and If you haven't been to these either, Asa and I host Story Club. We have Sci-Fi Story Club on Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. And that same time on Thursdays, we do Horror Story Club. And for both of those, we've been just working our way through short story collections. Many of them have been accessible online. And so, um, yeah, we'd love to see you for those. Stop by. I think for me, it's just whatever we can do together to become better writers.
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
Oh,
B,
thank you, Moira.
Or good to see you, B. Thanks for joining. This might not be applicable. Oh, let's see. This is an ask. This might not be applicable, but I want to take local ghost experiences and turn them into detailed atmospheric stories. Can you recommend how to go about that? B, I have
Yeah.
thought a lot about this too, as Takashi will attest. And in my experience of 7 years living here in Mexico City, this is a haunted place and everyone has a ghost story. Everyone, you go to any corner. And I've thought a lot about this also, is transforming local lived ghost stories into stories. I don't have a answer off the dome, but it's really exciting to me that you're engaging with this because it's something I've thought a lot about also. And just generally, B, thanks for hanging out today and sharing your work.
Yeah. I do have one thought about
Yeah,
the local ghost stories. I think it would help to understand kind of what you want out of the experience. And so if you want to have like a book of like, oh, regional stories from this, obviously from this region, a little redundant, but if that's your goal, or if you want to collect these stories for a podcast that you're working on, it can really help to understand just big picture. Oh, I want this to be a book. I want this to be a children's book. I want this to be a podcast, and I want it to be illustrated, etc. And then, yeah,
I'm also
honestly,
curious. I'm also
yeah.
curious of the deeper why. B,
Ooh,
and maybe
what's
this is
driving you to
maybe this is
this?
a convo over coffee in Belfast someday, but I definitely, what in you is motivating this project sounds really exciting to me. Takashi says that's true. Mexico City, Mexico in general, is full of mysteries, local and urban legends are hidden in
Hmm.
plain sight, podcast and face to face. Very
Mm-hmm.
cool.
Oh, and Mateo says permission is definitely important. Yeah, especially
Great
if you're
point.
interviewing, yep, people who have like been through these experiences, having a waiver for them to sign. Yeah, and
Yeah,
I know podcast wise, Asa and I can both give you some advice too. So hit us up in
totally.
the Discord too if you'd like to talk more about this. We'll both be there. So
Yeah. All right, everybody, have a great weekend,
happy
and
Friday.
we'll see you next week. This has been great.
Bye for now, friends.
Bye.